All right, hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing One Ring Second Edition tonight. We're continuing our Waking of Angmar campaign. We left off in a friendly dwarf hall of Harmelt, as we've been exploring some of the various dwarf halls along the Blue Mountains, and we'll do a little bit more of that tonight. And yeah, why don't we just start with some character introductions, and we're gonna get right to it. So. Long just got here, so I'm gonna give him a break, and I'm gonna skip over Floy and just go right to Gilly, and we'll come back to Floy in the end. So
Nice.
Ashley, you're gonna lead us off. Tell us about Gilly.
I'm Gilly Kettlegrass, and I'm a Bree Hobbit, and I kind of specialize in being a little sneaky. Um, Gilly has some pretty fun virtues. Uh, she has the art of smoking, so she often tokes up with her parents, and this causes me to regain one or more hope. Whenever I regain some hope, I recover an additional hope point, whether it's adventuring or fellowship phase. And it's just become a meme. And what else? She's very excited to speak to another scholar and lore master. Uh, even
You
if
sure?
they,
Even this guy?
even this guy.
Okay. Even this guy? All right. He's a little weird, but all right. Okay, fair enough. I mean, he's honestly a true academic because if you spend your entire life in academia, you kind of turn into that. So it's either
Yeah,
that.
he's very devoted.
Yeah, or if you're like where I teach, you just become sort of like a weird like hipster who just kind of really enjoys peyote, and that's basically the two options. So yeah, that works. And I wasn't sure if peyote existed. So anyway, cool. Next up, we'll go to Arinial, bottom row. Arinial, who are you?
So I am a Ranger of the North champion. Pretty good with like athletics and exploring and hunting, and not so good with the council needed skills. So yeah, that's always interesting when it's the time for a talkie talk, because she does more of the outdoorsy kinds of things, but she is interested in sort of being in a different area with kind of dwarves and within the mountains and all of that. It's something new and different.
Sure. You would think you would have like some leadership qualities or something like that. You know, maybe I don't know. Like as a
Uh,
ranger,
You are the de facto leader of the group.
you're technically not a captain though. You're a champion, right?
I
Because
am a
captain's
champion.
Mhm.
is a
Yeah,
different
that
choice
is
to
Yeah.
make.
yeah.
Okay, so that's fair.
Yeah.
You're just a champion. That's when in the fantasy H game we play with Chuck or I play with Chuck over on Wednesday. That's kind of my viewpoint too. Is I'm making a champion, but then I'm
Mhm.
making Dan's character. He's gonna be the commander, so I'm focusing on him, making him and I'm just the idiot who hits things. So that's what I'm going with. Yeah. So what Melissa's saying is that Melissa Iriniel's just an idiot who hits things. Is that what you're telling me?
She's just not the go-to person when you need some like smooth talking kinds of things, like compared to my Friday night character who literally has a specialty of like nonstop BS. That is
Yeah.
exactly what she's good at.
Yeah.
Iridial, not so much. And my rolls were horrible last week. I don't think I successfully like contributed anything to the
It was a
council, so-
testy. It was a testy council. There were a lot of things that were working against you all, but you did manage to succeed. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
We need to turn our attention to Erebon for a few reasons. One, because we're contractually obligated to introduce one of these characters. You know, all of these characters.
I did negotiate that into my contract that I have to
I
be
know
introduced
it's,
every
it's very
session.
frustrating, and I do think we need to renegotiate. The other thing is Erebon did something so egregious last episode, and it's not like offending the dwarves to the point where they almost kicked you all out. He gave away a custom made, like custom created by yours truly,
Very well designed.
magical item with a significant amount of history and lore and might actually be tied to some of the themes that are going on within our camp. He just gave it away. Gave it away. My voice is getting higher because I'm more incredulous. That's what happens. He just gave it away. To some random dude. But you bonded with him. So anyway, Erebon, tell us about your stupid
He seemed
character.
like an okay guy. He really did.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I am playing Erebon, child of Eru, exile of Linden, Warden of Eriador, Drinker of Water, and Giver of Gold. I am a very moody elf. He kind of reflects how I feel on the inside, but I have to put on my happy face when I'm with Jeff, just because otherwise it would get way too dark in here. Yeah, that's Erebon.
So I just want to go over the item that you gave away. That's the armband of the Mirdan. Okay, so I went through and what I do in our items, we use Foundry for our characters and whatnot, and so I put in pronunciation guide because it can get kind of weird sometimes to pronounce some of these items. The effects, obviously, and so the effects of this item, it's a marvelous item. So it grants 2d6 when using the awareness skill. What's the awareness skill for? What's that for? Oh, I don't know. Just, detecting danger and stuff like that, avoiding, being ambushed and stuff. And it'll let you achieve a magical success,
Jeff,
which is very, very useful.
I'm glad you're going over
not
this because
done,
I forgot
sir.
to copy the description when I deleted it from my character sheet. So thank you. I can refill my notes here.
Then there's the history, right? Armband at first glance appears of elvish craftsmanship, likely of a Region make. Upon closer examination, there are flourishes that suggest a dwarfish influence as well, right? This whole idea of coming together. Then this little history of the people of the Jewelsmiths, where if anybody is like a Tolkien nerd, you're on Tolkien Gateway, look it up, it's there. But hey, no, it's fine. I'm not upset.
It was a great magic item. I was really impressed by it. You put a lot of work into it.
Very excited. When you guys do your next journey, you're just going to find a random dead body of a dwarf, and there's going to be the armband on it. Like, oh, it's come back to you again, just like the ring. It just finds its way back to its masters. Except Erebon can't use it anymore. Anyhow.
Boy, we'll snatch that shit.
Let's go back up to the top as well. I think Long is ready and caught up. Long, tell us about Floy and how he's doing. It's been a home trip for him. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm playing Floy, dwarf. We're in our hometown. Gladrock, just traveled. He's feeling a little out of the, pretty much like he's missing info. He's getting new revelations that he didn't know was going on. Like his family sort of doing all these workers wrong, not really helping out the other places. And he's trying to work towards making up for that.
The curtain has been pulled back on.
Yeah. I mean, you're the youngest of like 12 siblings, we said. Yeah, you probably aren't as familiar with it. And you've been, because you're the youngest, you haven't necessarily had to take on a whole lot of like familiar responsibilities. You're able to kind of go out and travel and do treasure hunting and stuff like that, where some of your older siblings might be more responsible for doing the family business kind of deal, right? All 11 or 11 of your brothers and sisters. So, but yeah, there's been some stuff going on. There's not a ton of like, info about the Blue Mountains and the Hall, but there's like pockets here and there that are kind of fleshed out in some of the Wandering books. And so I'm kind of taking that and stitching it together and kind of creating our own thing. Got to find some conflict somewhere. But all right. So, yeah, Steven's going to be at Gen Con. Steven, you're responsible for, lollygagger business while you're there. And
contractually obligated.
Yeah, so just go there and just give stuff away. Just here you go. Like, here's a lamp. Enjoy. just take shirt off.
Yeah,
and it over. Fair enough.
I'll just get a Sharpie and just write adventures in lollygagging on everything I give away.
Yeah, that's what you should do. You should just get a white shirt and just draw our logo by hand on that white shirt, and there you're repping the brand now, right? That's what you got to do.
And the selfies, just show us moving around.
Yep.
All good.
And you got to go visit the Norse Foundry booth, of course. Our good friends, which we should mention, by the way, I think we actually have. Did I put this in? Let me check to see if this works for the first time. Eric, as you can see in chat, he's a good friend of ours. He loves our One Ring game for reasons I still don't understand because we have Steven in it. But if you want to see some of the amazing dice and other ttrpg related products, just dropped in the chat promo code now you can use Lolly, so for 10% off any of that good stuff. So go over there, buy some cool dice, and then if you're at Gen Con and you see Steven, trip him, and then go over to the Norse Foundry booth and buy more stuff there. So
yeah.
All right. So, shall we get started?
Sure.
All right. Summary time. Last time, you all left the dwarf halls of Gladrock, which is the name of the halls of Floyd's home. You've watched Priest Steven. Those were the good days, Priest Steven. I've been going through that's the other announcement sort of ish, we're finally going to put these up in podcast form. And I have a couple of them ready. And so I've been going through some of the early eps when Steven wasn't there. Man, they just went smoother and snappier and everything just felt better.
That's how you got people hooked. And, the stats have been going downhill ever since.
Yeah. So it's really very cool. So we'll be having, we're going to start moving a lot of our stuff over into podcast form because that's been a very frequent request for a very long time, which is weird because we started as a podcast for different games for Zyender way back in the day. And now we're kind of putting stuff back up. But soon I'm actually ready to do it. So One Ring will probably be the first to get that treatment. Then we'll probably go back and do some of our Alien game. And eventually we're going to get to the point where we can kind of release in audio format an episode of One Ring at the same time we're releasing like our the VOD over on YouTube. So we're getting there. And by we I mean me, because none of these people ever want to do anything until I have to do all the work. I'm not help. So last time the party, you all left the dwarf halls of Gladrock, Floyd's home. Floyd long gave us a name, put on the spot. And you began a very short journey, but it was through mountains, so it took a little longer. So it probably took a total of about 5 to 7 days or so in that realm. And you began a short journey south to the halls of Harmelt, which you had heard about before as having a lore master that had an interest in rune carving and other dwarven crafts that might help Floy in some fashion. During that travel, you encountered a sickly dwarf named Snagit, who tried to befriend the party. I think everybody knew what was going on. Everybody in the audience, everybody in the stream. I think everybody knew what was going on.
He successfully befriended me.
You all, I know that's true. That's not too hard. Just be like, hey, let's throw away some stuff together. Let's throw away some useful items that people worked really hard on together. And you're like, okay.
We're both outcasts.
Yeah. Did we just become best friends? Yeah. He spoke. We got into some history, like the halls of Gladrock, as Floy was mentioning. They kind of were driving some of their miners, and they're deeper into the mountains than were safe, like kind of ahead of like safety protocols or something like that, harsher conditions, etc., causing kind of a schism between some clans and Floy's family. Snagik formed a strange bond with Erebon over this sort of, I think, perceived selfishness of dwarves is kind of the sort of where you all bonded. And then he lured you into an ambush, as everyone knew it was coming, but everyone played it out. And thank you all for playing that out. That was so cool. Where him and his fellow dwarven outcast, Oathbreakers, stole Balin's wagon, trade goods that he had from Dale and from Erebor. There's no bloodshed, thankfully, but Erebon did hand over the artifact, as we talked about. When you all finally did reach Harmelt a few days later, Erebon nearly ruined everything right at the front door, as he was very rude to some of the dwarves in the watchtower, but a begrudging apology let you all continue. Inside, Floy, you noticed that the golden walls of this hall were very, very thin and kind of gave you the vibe that all was not well here in Harmelt, that they're probably poorer than they're letting on. They're not doing as well. You got into a council with Lord Majolan and his various brothers. It was very, very tense. And a lot of this was because this clan, Harmelt and Gladrock, had some differences in the past, and that was sort of working against you. But also the same stuff that's been happening everywhere you go and communicating with people. They keep having these weird, prophetic, dark visions that seem to come whenever you all arrive, right? And a lot of it has to do with like dwarf on elf violence. Luckily, you did manage to win them over. Erebon lied about song lyrics, and that tended to work. And you got led to Lore Master Hajolin's library, which was in the deep recesses, like barely ever used anymore. This sort of strange, eccentric dwarf. And yeah, as you arrived, very dark, kind of this library kind of in shambles. You found him like crawled atop this long table, and he seemed to be speaking with somebody. But as you got closer, you realized he wasn't actually speaking with anybody, but instead he was referring to a skull that he had propped up on a stone pedestal on top of the table as Tori, his eldest brother, who you all had learned had gone missing or never returned from adventures into the Misty Mountains. So we're going to pick up right around there. Let's get a little music going, perhaps. What do I want to do? Gotta do something. Yeah, this doesn't fit, but the title, if you knew the title of this track from Tabletop Audio. Okay. So you see him, you guys are all there. The other brother who kind of led you down here kind of turns around, and you can see he doesn't really want to get too close, or doesn't really engage with Hajolin too much. He just says, "You've got visitors, brother." And then he turns around, and you see him depart. It's extraordinarily dark in here, and there's really just this tiny little beacon, this pocket of light, where these candles are set up, where he's reading. And, as Hajolin looks up, you can see one of his eyes is kind of squinted shut, like one whole side of his face is all sort of tensed up, like he's probably had a stroke or something. And he's got soot and dirt all over him. His nails are kind of they're ill taken care of. You can see there's grime and stuff under them. And he says,
"I've got visitors. Did you hear that, Tori? Someone's here for me. Not for you, for me. Wait, we're both brothers. Maybe they are here for you. Shush, no, why would they be here for you? You've got nothing to offer anyone. What can I do for you?"
And he looks at all of you. Eye kind of barely opening up.
"Hi, Hajolin. I am Floy, and these are my companions. We've traveled afar for your guidance."
And you see him sort of like shuffle across the table, like almost feral, like on all fours, like knocking kind of some of his scrolls and books off to the side, knocks over what looks like a goblin of mead that just sort of spills and drips to the ground, doesn't even seem bothered by it. And he gets up nice and close to you, and he kind of leans up and he looks at you.
Floy, are you? Maybe you are and maybe you aren't. I don't know why you're journeying wide and far for me. I'm here in my home. Oh, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm elsewhere. You have to travel sometimes to find the best of books and information. Other times you'll find it, right in your back pocket.
And he starts feeling around in his back pocket, and he pulls out what looks like a piece of like hardtack bread, and he just snaps it.
Did you bring any food?
Well, yes, we have rations.
Give him here.
I hand him a piece of dried jerky.
So he just takes the jerky, he starts
Meat and beer, anything at all.
Oh, of course, we have beer.
Something to wash it down, perhaps.
And it's very, cool. He's got this scraggly beard. It's totally unkempt. Hair totally unkempt. I think I made a picture token. I'll show you guys what he looks like if you want. He's a little kind of not here nor there. So you all can see him. I'm not sure if I'll have to zoom in a little bit. People are interested in seeing. There he is. A little crazy. Okay. So he's sitting there eating and drinking. All of you are standing nearby. Very, very dark. And it smells terrible in here. Like, like, as you kind of waft it in a bit, you just can't help but kind of cough a bit, as there's sort of something foul. You're not sure if something died. You're not sure if it's just him. He hasn't bathed in quite some time, but it smells quite rancid in here. What do you want to do?
Maybe I should wait outside.
Reneel's going to look to Gilly and just say, "You are very excited to come here. I'll leave it to you."
And she is excited. My name is Gilly Kettlegrass. It's a pleasure to meet a fellow scholar and
maybe it is and maybe it isn't. We'll see in time.
I was hoping you could let us, give us information on rune scribing.
Ah, what do you know about rune scribing, Hobbit?
Hardly anything. That's why we came to you.
You know enough to... She came to me, Thor, not you. Quiet.
Kind of turns and talks.
Well, you want to know about rune scribing, rune carving. Are one of you around here a craftsman?
We've discovered some items that have it.
Have you now? Well,
And he kind of leads, like, really uncomfortably close to you, to the point where you can feel the warmth of his now kind of stained breath with, like, the bread and the beer kind of wafting onto you, flicking some crumbs into your face.
Well, I'd very much like to see that.
And then that's when Gilly will, like, motion to Floy.
He'll undon some of the cloth to reveal the B3 lobe.
You see his eye grows really wide. Even the other one almost starts to open up a bit. You can just see it's you're just not sure. His face just won't unclench on the right-hand side.
Oh my, what a find this is.
At that moment, you all see all of the lights, like the candles that are here, just suddenly, like, flick out, and it becomes completely and utterly dark.
I would like to get my lantern.
Okay. So you go rifling through. You find your lantern. You kind of pull it on out. And when you...
Is it normally this drafty in here?
So as you say that, like, you feel something bump up against you, Erebon. You feel something just kind of move past you. And not only that, but you actually hear this voice just sort of echoing off the walls. Everyone go ahead and make a valor test. I think I have a library pick too.
And we do have some extras if anybody wants any.
No, everyone fail.
Valor is heart, right? Against the heart target number?
Yes.
Yeah.
I failed with a 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Failed 16.
Success with the 17.
Failed with
Or
a
12.
6.
Oh boy.
Oh, gosh.
Those of you who failed, take a shadow point.
You were coming for me as soon as I mentioned shadow points.
What? I've had this planned for weeks. You all hear, like, a voice from, like, kind of somewhere in the stacks.
Like, well, are you following or not?
And, like, you look over in the distance, you see a very faint light off in the corner. And you can see what looks like that scrunched up face kind of peering at you from a good 30 feet away. And it disappeared down, like, this row of books, like this tall shelf with sort of, there's spider webs and dust kind of hanging down from it.
Are you coming?
No, of course.
Yes. I told them they're coming. Enough, Tori.
And he kind of continues to sort of wander off. What are the rest of you doing?
Gilly's, like, holding onto the back of Floyd's shirt as she's holding the lantern, and she's following him.
Okay. All right. And so the two of you start to follow. Erebon or Erebon, are you following the light, or are you doing something else?
Erebon doesn't like being in under the earth. So I think what he would do is he would end up being pretty close to Gilly. He might even, like, kind of help her hold the lantern up just so it's a little bit higher, like pretending like it's to, like, you know, make it easier to see, but in actuality he just wants to be close to the light.
Okay.
It's just holding my
Aurelia?
hand
And
awkwardly.
if there's
you gotta
enough
raise it higher.
space, Aurinial will have unsheathed her sword, and so she's going to be, like, walking backward.
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just like watching out behind the group and, just kind of holding a hand out to be able to make sure that she's kind of following behind Gilly.
Okay. So you all start following in a relatively single file type line. And as you and you're a good 20, 30 paces behind this light in the distance, you hear the vague voice of Hajolin as he's somehow just poof to the other side of the room. And right as you all kind of get down this line, you hear this creak, and all of a sudden this massive stone bookcase just falls on its side on top of all of you. Everyone go ahead as this does so. Make a, what's it called? Athletics test. Against your strength.
Quit lollygagging back there. Are you coming or not?
14 just
I
success.
rolled a Gandalf, but only a 9, but it's success.
It's a Gandalf. You're good. Okay.
Success.
Automatic
14
success.
over
Success.
13.
Gilly.
Failure 11.
With an extra success.
All right. Gilly, take 2 points of damage as all of you kind of go, you get braced a bit, but you manage to sort of either push yourselves out or maybe you kind of hold it enough and start lowering it. But as it does, some kind of large, old carved statue, like a bust of a dwarf of old, just falls on top of Gilly, and Gilly, you just kind of get the worst of it as this lands right on top of you. You're able to.
I pushed Gilly away out of fright, and it put her right under the statue.
Yeah. I'm not going to let the cancel go through because they were single file, and Aurelian, I think, was bringing up the edge. Specifically, Erebon and Floy were flanking Gilly. So I'm
I was up too far, I think.
Reniel's not right next to her. As the statue goes kind of falling down. You kind of continue to go, and you're kind of moving about. But as you kind of emerge, you once again get up and you look around, and all the only light that you can see around you is this lamp. And then you see all the way behind you, there's this little flicker of candlelight that pops up once more. And you can see that crooked face of Adrillin.
Quit knocking things around. What's wrong with you all? Over here. Come on. We've got lots to discuss. I want to see more about this piece of armor you got. Now, come on. Let's go.
We're not knocking things around. This was knocked into us.
Don't be daft. Bookcases like that don't fall over. It's been here for hundreds of years. You think it's going to fall over now? You're crazy. And they say I'm crazy. They all say I'm crazy, Tori. Now hush. Yes. Even Majolin says it. Yes, in Pori they say that too. They say I know what they say to me. Or about me, I should say. Come.
What
Aurelian's
danger
gonna
is this
help.
dwarf leading us into?
I don't know. Aurelian helps Gilly up and just kind of tries to use Gilly's light to look around the bookshelf and just see if this is a really dusty place, if there's any footprints in the dust or anything like that around the bookshelf.
Roll an awareness test, -1d penalty, as it's extraordinarily dark in here.
Sure.
And the lamplight doesn't seem to be stretching as far as it should.
All right, so you said awareness, and then I'm going to use an audience so that I can balance that back out again. So that's a fail.
Okay. So you're looking around for any signs of footprints in the dust or any signs that someone might have intentionally knocked this over. You don't notice anything like that. But as you're kind of moving around to the opposite side, if only you had the awareness bracelet, you move around to the other side, and as you're kind of looking down, you're maybe you're bending down, you think you see something. There is sort of a sound behind you. And what's your target number? What's your parry, I should say?
1 second. 16.
16, huh? Okay. I'll take that. That's it. All right. Okay. You feel a cold and chilling touch right on the back of your neck. And it's this sudden, horrible, icy feeling. to the point where you have to like reach back as quickly as you can, and you feel as you reach back towards it, your hand just kind of suddenly pass through something, like it's almost passing through water briefly as something's resisting it. It takes 6 points of damage.
Oh my gosh.
And once again, you hear this sort of chuckling on the wind, this little whisper begin to, and in the distance, you just hear Hajolan yell,
Now, Tori, be nice to them. They've come here and they've brought malt and they brought hardtack. They gave us something to eat. Well, they gave me something you don't eat at all. Be nice to them. No. I don't think we need to do that to them. I think you're being a bit paranoid.
And Aurenial will just sort of just stand up straight and just sort of, she's kind of had her sword out and just say, she's trying to be very measured but kind of forceful. I would very much appreciate if you can have Tori not push bookcases on top of us.
I'm trying to tell him, but he seems to think that you all are malcontents and trouble causers and rabble rousers and all sorts of other very nefarious words that I'd rather not repeat. But
Have your friend show itself.
my friend, it's my brother, thank you very much. And he's standing right here.
and he holds up the skull that he's kind of carrying around in his hand.
Well, I believe it was very impolite of us to not introduce ourselves to your brother. Would you mind doing the honors? My name is Gilly Cuttlegrass. It's a pleasure to meet you. These are my friends.
He doesn't say anything back. He's trying to decide which one of you he dislikes the most. The elf, it seems, is his first choice. But there's
I cannot
a
say that
Dunedain
I'm fond of
among
him
you.
either.
I don't. Tori, they are our guests. No, you leave them alone now.
And you can tell, like, his face is, like, he's looking extraordinarily pale, like this wisp of hair kind of coming down. And you all, like, hear stuff, like, moving about in the darkness here and there. And you hear, like, a creak on the far side of the room. And suddenly a book drops onto the ground. You hear the sounds of something, like, kind of, like, scurrying past in the darkness. And then all of a sudden, Gilly, your lantern light just fades to it's like the tiniest little bit of light where you can just barely see like a 2-3 feet radius around you. And come on, you hear the voice of Hajolan, but you don't see exactly where he's coming from.
Gilly, are you out
Jolan,
of oil?
do you think Tori could turn my lantern back on? As like Gilly's trying to like check her oil levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're messing around with it, and like everything looks right. You keep trying to turn it, and it kind of comes up for a moment, and then sort of it's like it's sort of dimming down.
I don't know what's wrong with my lantern. We should hurry and catch up with Hajolan.
We should leave. This is not a safe place.
We need answers. We came here because he's the best of the best.
There's no guarantee he knows the answers. Look at him, he's crazy.
Erebon, at saying that, you feel sort of this icy slash across your back, and I rolled a Sauron, so and it's a total of 23 and an ice hour, no extra successes. Take 6 points of damage as you feel this cold streak just dig through your clothes, through the armor you're wearing, through the clothes that you're wearing on top of it. You feel it kind of rake down the pass. I'll say Floy and Aurenial, go ahead and roll an awareness test.
Okay.
I let out a loud cry and spin with my spear ready.
I failed with a 9.
Aurenial?
Yeah, sorry. I'm having a issue here. There we go. Success, 15.
Okay. So as all of you kind of whirl around, Gilly, you're still sort of messing around with the lamp. Erebon, you're like kind of your back kind of arcs, but that you sort of whirl around and late. You turn around just in time to see this kind of black shadow on the darkness of the room move around behind Erebon and just kind of dissipate into the shadows once more. And as it does, you can feel this vague kind of coolness wash over you. There is another presence here, and doesn't seem to be Hajolin.
Would I be able to swing my spear before it like disappeared?
Yeah, go ahead, roll. And just tell me your total. And actually, you check your total against your own thing, but tell me your like what kind of damage you would do.
Okay, I rolled a 13.
Yeah, does that hit for you?
No.
Okay. I have no extra parry on this guy. Yeah, you swing back around, and it just catches air.
There's
some sort of creature here.
Iridio wants to try to go feel around for the book that got knocked off. Because there was one book that got knocked off the bookshelf, right?
Yeah, there's one book. Yeah, you go over, you lean down, you kind of flip through it. It's Dwarven runes and whatnot language. I don't think you would know Dwarven. I think Elf we established is perfectly good for Ireniel, but like you probably don't necessarily understand this sort of Dwarven script here that you're looking at. There's a couple sketches here and there. Otherwise, there's this sort of old Dwarven script. But you do like sort of hear the sounds of like some sort of very faint bit of movement in here. But it's still so dark, like you can't discern the black of like the shadow of this thing that's moving around from the sort of the black of the room, the shadow itself. Gilly, your lamp is working, but it's still kind of giving off this sort of diffuse light. Thank you, Chuck.
Oh, so many bits.
All I gotta do is let Chuck put his feet on my face, and I get bits for complications. That's all I get. I guess there are worse things.
Fans.
Yeah, I know. We should make a OnlyFans page of just Chuck putting his feet on my face. We'll probably make more than we make combined Twitch channels. That's all it takes. Yeah.
Can Ireniel try to just gather everyone and just try to like book it for the direction that Hijolin went?
Yeah, that's fine. Floyd, what are you doing in all this, man? You haven't really said much.
Guess I just call out for Jolin. Seems lost his back. Try to follow him as best we can.
You just hear like a voice in the distance.
I'm over here. Come on. Yeah, I've seen that before. That very, the craftsman's market seems so familiar to me. Yes, I can help you. Sure. Tori, leave them be. They're not bothering me. They shouldn't be bothering you. Now, why? No. It's very nice to get visitors one of these days.
My voice for him is like spanning the globe.
It's
like all over. But yeah, you can hear the voice from the other side of the room. It's just so dark and everything's just sort of moving about. I would say really like the idea is like you guys need to figure out a way to get more light. It would probably strike you at this point. Because you guys are like you're bumping into things as you're moving about, you're bumping into tables, you're bumping into bookshelves, you're feeling things kind of like move past you, this sudden waft of cold air, this strange smell that continues to sort of assault your nostrils. And all of this seems to like be happening. And you guys have taken damage, so I'm not sure if there's something more than just use, you
Ireniel, quickly, your cloak.
Ireniel will hand over the cloak, not really wanting to. And Ireniel is going to ask Gilly if she has extra oil for her lantern.
Yeah.
I'll take the cloak and I'm gonna go over to Gilly and set it on fire with Gilly's lantern.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Nothing. Nothing is sacred to Erebon.
He likes his cloak.
So you magical craft success on that lantern. I don't see why that would be. Okay, you take the cloak and you kind of open up Gilly's lantern. You get the oil all over it, and then you light it back up. And then the cloak just bursts into flames, which suddenly just seems to be enough light to sort of push back this like encompassing darkness and just put you all in this envelope. And as it does, you can see all of the bookshelves and things that you first saw when you kind of came in. Suddenly you can see the contours of them light up. But in addition to that, you see hovering just a few feet away from you all a specter of some sort of significant height. No legs on the ground. You can see this torso clad in some kind of intricate armor that seems to be sort of kind of shifting in the light. You don't really kind of see the legs so much as you see this kind of cloak or robe that sort of drifts down to the ground. Far taller than a dwarf would be, and you see that their hand is kind of got this sort of tinge and glow to it, and they're kind of dragging this like around with them, this sort of spectral sword. And as the light comes up, like their head kind of whips towards you, and you see where the face like should be. Like there's just this dark and empty pool that as the light hits it, you can see this hideous kind of like corpse-like visage like push through. Everyone, this is we're gonna start battle now. Everyone go ahead and roll a valor test. As this horrific thing of terror like pops up in front of you.
Success for Irviniel.
Can I have a dice, please?
Yes.
Failed.
I got an auto success, Gandalf.
Okay. The amount of successes is also important, so if any of you got additional successes, let me know.
No. Doesn't
Okay.
look like it.
So, All right, so those of you who passed, and just with the one, you will take 2 points of shadow.
Oh gosh.
Those of you who failed will take 3 points of shadow, and you are what's considered daunted. You cannot spend hope for the rest of the fight. So anyone who failed cannot spend hope for this fight as this creature steps out in front of you. And it's only a few feet away, close enough where opening volleys are, because it's basically been circling around you and following you and like kind of poltergeistian type things on top of you. So no opening volleys, you're close enough to engage it. So we'll drop you in and we'll kind of get going into proper combat again. It's been a while since we've done combat, actually.
Yeah.
It has been.
It's been a
I'm
very
sorry,
long
I
time.
cut out for a second. Did you say we take shadow?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 if you succeeded.
Roll a valor test.
I failed the valor test.
Did you? Okay, so you're
take
taking
3
two
points of shadow, and
3.
not only that, but
3
you are he failed. So take 3 points of shadow, and you are daunted, meaning you
Okay,
cannot use.
so-
Yeah.
Quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt. When your shadow meets your max, is that important, or is it when it?
Oh no, we
Uh,
lost
Oh,
Steven.
no.
Yeah, he's
Why did
freezing
I invite
again.
him into this party? Why is
Well,
he here?
well, Long can answer that because we just did this with Floy. It's when it meets your maximum hope score, right?
Yeah, when it meets max hope.
I
You little
am-
crazy.
Yeah, I have 10 hope and I have 10 shadow.
Like your max hope is 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
This is great.
Now-
I
oh.
would like to take a shadow scar.
Oh, Farco is helping you all. God damn it. Okay.
oh.
Thank you.
Turncoat, traitor. All right. Oh, I didn't think this was gonna be as terrible. This is what happens when I tap into
I
compositions.
didn't think you'd give me
Awful.
4 shadow a session. My
Sorry, buddy.
goodness.
Wow.
Sorry, man.
Yeah,
We're
I
getting-
you
you guys
fell for
are.
rolling so bad.
You guys have drawn the ire of people now. Sorry, I'm just
Oh
setting
my
up a few
gosh.
things. All right.
Yeah, I might need to do a shadow scar.
Yeah,
too.
I'm taking a shadow scar.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'll say
Okay.
I took it like when I got hit by the statue. So like I have like a mark on my face or something.
We should kick out Steven and bring Chuck in. Chuck wouldn't throw away magical frickin' items that I give to the party. That would have actually really helped you here. You could have got a magical success on your awareness tests and seen this thing a lot sooner, so it wouldn't have got the extra hits on you.
That's
Oh
fine.
no, yes, and I will say that I now have a big ol' scar on my back from where I took 6 damage from this thing.
I don't
So
know
that I can
why.
also.
Sorry.
What were you saying, Steven?
Nothing. I'm sorry, my internet's being funny. I'm trying to
No, you're
Yeah.
get it sorted.
We haven't done combat in so long that I think the combat initiative has changed, and I don't know how to use it now. So we're just going to do this the old-fashioned way. That's my bad. We know how it works. There's 3 stances. There's only one enemy, so should be pretty easy. Floy, I assume, forward stance. Is that correct?
Forward stance. It's been a while.
Okay. So Floy, you're in forward. What about Auriniel and Erebon?
Defensive.
Sorry, I'm trying to look at the tasks again real quick. It's been so long since we
Just
did
tell me
this.
what stance you're in.
Oh, I'm
Sorry,
looking at the tasks so that I can see what.
Yeah, defensive. I'm sorry, I
stance.
misread.
What about you, what about you, Gilly? I'm assuming you're going into rearward.
Yeah, I want to do the combat task. Or no, I want to do.
I just need to know
open-
your stance right now.
open.
Okay. Forward, open, defensive, rearward. Okay. So
I'll do forward.
okay, so I got Floy and Auriniel, who are in. I'm sorry, I got Floy in forward. I got Auriniel and Gilly in open, and I've got Erebon who is in defensive. Okay, that means Floy, it will be your turn. You go first. Forward stance.
We've got a specter among us, and I'll just charge at it.
Okay, it's just a few steps away, so you leap at this thing, which is very clearly some kind of white or wraith, or you fought similar creatures before. So yeah, go ahead and swing. No extra parry, so it's whatever your target number is for swinging. It doesn't have any parry rating.
Wow, that was a terrible roll 10 with 4 bonus dice.
Gosh.
Oh goodness. Okay, so you come in and you go swinging, and it just sort of very effortlessly, just sort of slightly off to the side. Your axe comes, crashing down onto the stone floor. You hear the tink of it. Then we go into open stance, and this is where I believe Auriniel and Gilly are. Whatever order you want is fine.
Gilly, were you going to do the combat task for open? You're muted.
Do you have it favored?
I do not have.
I have 2 pips in it. I was gonna do Ian Harton roll.
Okay, go ahead. You can go ahead and go first then.
Okay, if I could have a dice, please.
Sure.
And I'm ripping it. Failure
Good.
10.
Oh goodness.
Oh, no.
What is it you say, Gilly, and why doesn't it work? Or maybe you're too terrified to even speak. Who knows? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's more so like Gilly's just he's supposed to be a friend, and like she's trying to like stop in both combats, but like Floyd's already going in to hit him, and she's just concerned all around that she's gonna offend Hajolin.
Yeah. As you're like turning around and trying to shout, and you see Hajolin is still atop that table, like he hasn't like almost as if he hasn't left, and you see he's kind of like seizing a little bit, like he's kind of going through sort of like twitching seizing effect right now. A little bit of foam is kind of coming out of his mouth, and his eye, and like his face is continuing to scrunch like harder and harder, to the point where it almost looks like something might burst. Auriniel, you're also in open stance.
All right, and I am just going to attack.
Mhm.
I am also going to take one of these and success.
Absolutely, yeah. Give me that
19.
damage. Okay. So it's just a normal success? Yeah, give me that damage.
All right, so damage is 3.
3 points. Okay. So you come in as Floyd's axe kind of clinks down onto the stone. Gilly starts to shout, but kind of fumbles her words a bit as she sees this sight of Hajolin kind of seizing. You ignore all that and just go straight at where this wraith has just over to the side, and you swing out, and you feel your blade, like the resistance as it slashes in, and you hear as most certainly you've done something to it.
And I will yell as I do that. Everyone already noticed this, but I'm going to be yelling like, "This is not a dwarf," as I attack.
Erebon, defensive stance. What would you like to do?
I do not need to go into my bout of madness just yet, correct?
Oh, I didn't
You
even
have
think
to
about
go
that.
into disadvantage, I believe.
I am ill-favored,
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
but I can do my bout of mad. Okay. I'm still not going to be that courageous right now. I think I will just like half-heartedly swing at it with my spear, which
Okay.
I'm ill-favored.
I would say it's 3 of you now that are surrounding this thing. I'll say from now on, as long as the 3 of you are still here, you can take a bonus dice as an advantage as you're kind of flanking and surrounding it a bit.
Okay, I'm also weary. Did I mention that?
Mhm, mhm.
So
I want Erebon
that would
out of the
be a miss.
party. Okay.
Even with ill-favored, I did get a 13, but I needed a 14
Okay, you
for
tried to-
just my target.
You try to jam the spear through, but it does not quite hit. All right, so I think what it's going to do is, all right, for one of its attacks, it's going to get 2. Oh, I have the wrong thing up. 1 second. Where is it? There it is. Sorry. Same stats. Okay. Just a couple different
Yes,
abilities.
Ashley, I agree. I was not expecting combat when we came to the library to talk to the lore master.
I know. You gotta put them. I like to mix it up a bit, Okay. This thing is going to. I think it's first going to lunge out at, we'll say, Floy, who missed. Floy, you were in forward stance, which means I get an extra die. And I'm going to say it's not in complete darkness, so I'm not going to give it favored on its attacks. Okay. All right. What's your parry?
15.
That will hit with a 14, 16, 19, 20, with 1 additional success. I think this is going to end up doing a total of 8 points of damage, as it's going to slash down with that kind of sort of ancient sword it seems to be dragging around with it. And it's going to, as you sort of lose your balance and land, you're kind of stumbling a bit off balance from the swing. It's going to take advantage of that and just cut across your back once more. Then it's going to, with its hand, kind of reach out, and it's going to go at. I feel like it's going to reach out. I think it's going to reach out at Irinial. And you just hear in your mind, you just hear that kind of. Go ahead and make a wisdom roll.
I'm gonna use a dice for this.
So I have to spend a hate for that, which I will.
That's a success with a 17.
Okay. So I think you end up just a regular success.
Correct.
I think you take 2 points of shadow.
Oh my gosh.
However, you don't fall unconscious.
I'm back to miserable again.
Okay. That is the end of this round. We'll go to the new round. Any change-ups for how we're doing things?
Gilly will go rearward.
Rearward
Keeping
for
forward.
Gilly? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll switch to forward.
I am staying defensive.
All right. So Irinial and Floy, your forward stance. What do you want to do?
Can I do intimidate foe first?
I'm going to say to you, because you would know this, because I believe you have lore for undead.
Oh yeah, that's right.
More than likely, you know that this is probably a heartless creature, and intimidate foe
Intimidate doesn't work.
would not really
Okay.
work unless there was some sort of magical success you might be able to get.
Understood. Okay. If I can't do that, then I want to do open stance, and Floy can go first.
Okay. So you okay? That's fine. That's fine. All right, go ahead, Floy. Forward
Yeah,
stance.
regain my balance
sword.
here.
Mhm.
Look for a solid piece to swing at.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Extraordinary success.
Oh boy. Okay.
It'll be 21 damage.
I'm sorry. How much?
21.
Okay, 21 points of damage. You rolled a nice high round too. Oh dear. Okay. That is a lot of damage. It is still up. It's still functioning. But when you sort of do this uppercut swing with the axe, you manage to just cleave right through it all to the point where it recoils as it backs up. But it looks towards you all somewhat undaunted, maybe a little daunted, as we go over to Aurinial. Damn, that's the
Yeah.
Floy we know and love. There it is.
Yes, that is. Good gracious. All right. Short sword. All right. Sword. I'm going to grab one of these.
I think in the future, what I'm going to do is whenever we do that undaunted thing, I'm also going to make it as can't use audience dice either. Not just hope, but audience dice. That's what I think. In
If
the
we
future.
pass
In
that,
the
are
future.
we undaunted?
What's that? If you passed,
But-
you're fine. You just took some sorcery points unless
Okay.
you canceled them all out with additional successes.
Okay.
But if you pass, you're not undaunted. Only if you failed are
Okay.
you undaunted and can't use hope.
Okay, so I succeeded with a great success. And because I
Okay.
haven't done combat in a while, I'm forgetting what I can do with those extras.
Usually, looking at usually a heavy blow, and then it's dependent upon your weapon. So I would say, what did you roll on
Heavy
your
blow. 2.
on your feet?
A
Yeah,
2.
so you're not going to get anywhere close to
Yeah.
a piercing blow, really. So you can do a heavy blow if you want, which just kind of adds extra damage.
Okay, so
Uh,
normally it would be a 3, but that would add in my
What kind of
strength,
weapon
which
you
is
have?
7.
You have a sword too, right? Is what you have?
It's a keen short sword.
Yeah. So
That's going to
Yeah,
be 10 damage.
in this case, pierce wouldn't be useful for you. So heavy blow is the best. Yeah. So it's your strength rating. You just add your strength. So 10 total.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. As you slash into it, you feel it like there's kind of a flickering of it for a moment. I'm going to tap into its deathless ability. When an attack inflicts damage to a creature that would cause it to get a 0 endurance, spend 1 hate to bring this creature back to full endurance instead. Which is what I'm
Yeah.
going to do. As between you and Flo, you would have actually killed it if not for this deathless ability. Okay.
And we've seen this ability before.
Yes, this is again not something that's new to any of you. Everino, you especially with your lore ability, your undead lore. Erebon, defensive stance, mind playing tricks on you. What do you want to do?
Yes. You can see that Erebon is visibly wavering, and he takes a couple steps back, and he just thrusts out with his spear, but he's holding the very end of it. There's no real power behind it. And I will swing again.
Mhm.
We still have the extra die, you said, the advantage?
Yeah, for the 3 of you in melee.
So it cancels out my defensive. That would be 18. All right.
Okay. What's your what's
That's
your
a hit.
feat
My
die?
strength is 14.
Do you have any bonus die or anything like that?
No grace, just a single success.
Okay, so what's your total damage?
My total damage
It's
is
for the weapon.
5.
Okay, 5 points. Okay, chipping away. You manage to, as it's trying to get back and stepping back up into the fight after nearly dying, re-dying. You take advantage of that and just right over the shoulder of Aurinial, you just lunge the great spear and manage to get it in sort of a kind of in its side, so to speak. Gilly, you're in rearward now.
I feel like Gilly would be really concerned with Hajolin. Can I run towards him to attempt to heal?
Absolutely.
And then I'd like to spend a hope to invoke the Pearl of Calibrion and do a magical success on the heal roll.
Okay, and then roll it as well to see what other extra successes you might get on it.
Okay.
So at least one success, possibly more.
Just the one success.
Okay. You can see that he's biting down. He's like almost biting through his tongue. So you kind of grab something on the table and you jam it into his mouth so he doesn't bite through his tongue, and the foam's still coming out. It's when you come up you realize that his hand is like gripping the skull, and it's just like it's like you can see the whites of his knuckles as though he's gripping it like this death grip right now. And then we're going to go back over to the creature, who will this time, I think it's going to still lunge at Floy, because Floy is in forward stance and is the most threatening. So I think he's going to swing at you with his sword. Two bonus dice. 12, 9, it's 21, 23, which should hit with 2 successes. I think what I'm going to do... Make an injury roll, Floy, against a target of 16. So roll your armor, basically.
Great success, 23.
Okay,
Ooh.
so you do not suffer a piercing blow. And then on top of that, you'll take, I think it's 8 points of damage. Yeah, 8 points of damage from the slash.
Don't forget you can take knockback and take half, but you'd have to spend your next turn to get up.
Good reminder.
Right.
Then with its hand, it's going to reach down towards Ariniel and just try to kind of claw you with this chilling touch. What is your parry that I'm trying
16.
to hit? All right. And you're in open stance. I'm going to take a bonus from spending hate. That's not good. That's going to be a miss. Actually, no, it's not. 17. I'm sorry. 17 with one bonus. I will spend it. Sorry. I'll spend it on just heavy blowing this. So 9 points of damage.
How much?
9. So it reaches, so it slashes out at Floy, reaches down as Ariniel, you kind of lunge towards it, and you're kind of shifting off to the side as Erebon is kind of pulling back his spear, and it takes advantage of that slight moment to sort of, with its hand, just like reach back and just like rake across your arm. You just feel your left arm just go cold as ice. New round. Third round. There are... So were you in the same stances, or were you doing something different?
I'm staying.
Keeping forward.
Okay. And Ariniel, you're still in open?
Yeah.
All right. Floy, you're up.
I'll raise my axe above my head. It's either you or me. Just bring it down.
I love the
Yeah.
symmetry of the group that we all have our stance that we go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
We've
hear
got it all covered.
Go ahead.
Got a great success.
Liar.
I'll end up being another 14 damage.
Jeez.
All
Okay.
right.
Still up. Still up. Go over to an open stance. Ariniel, as you see Floy getting his groove back, flailing away with his axe. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm going to take a dice and swipe at it again. I'm just trying to throw everything I can into this.
Of course.
That's just a regular roll success.
Okay. What's
So
the
3
damage in your
damage.
weapon?
3.
Okay, 3 damage on the weapon. Okay, you're chipping away. It's certainly beginning to waver a bit, but it's still nonetheless functioning. It goes to Erebon now.
How many audience dice do we have left?
We have 7 left.
Okay. Erebon is really starting to panic at this point, especially seeing Areniel get hit in the arm. He's behind her. He's going to rip his helm off, just trying to get some air so he can finally breathe, get a gasp, and the icy air fills his lungs, and he thrusts out one-handed again. I'm no longer weary because I dropped my helmet, and I will take 1 audience die.
Okay.
I've been doing something wrong. In your favor,
Oh.
damn it. But I figured it out now.
Oh,
I've been adding the wrong number to heavy blows. I should have been adding 6 to damage as opposed to 3 I was adding.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so it should have been
That's
instead of 8 and 9, it should have been 11 and 12. That's how much damage I should have been doing on heavy blows.
Yeesh.
It's good that I'm no longer weary because I rolled a lot of 3s and under. I still missed, though. I got an 11.
Okay.
Oh no.
Gilly turns to you. You hear the fighting behind you. You see that you don't think he's going to choke anymore. However, he seems to be like something has taken over him.
I want to try and rip that skull out of his hand.
Okay. That will be an athletics test.
Okay. Is this combat?
I mean, you're in combat,
Okay,
but you're
okay.
rolling a skill test, so which is different than rolling a combat proficiency.
So I can use a fellowship point for favored or no?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to.
Yeah, I'll
spend
let you do it. Yeah, we're
a
in combat. It's
fellowship
fine.
for favor.
I will spend a fellowship point for anti-favor.
And then, can I have a dice?
Of course.
My athletics is
Jeez.
awful.
Would you like more than 1 dice?
Nope, it's too late. I failed.
Aw.
I won.
Okay.
Aw.
As you try to pry it away, like your fingernail kind of probably like bends ever so slightly to the point where it hurts. It's like you cannot quite get this skull out of his hand. It goes to it, who will
No.
take a swing once more, continuing with the sword at old Floy. All right. It's oh boy, I do
Uh-oh.
believe I just rolled an
Uh-oh.
ISL It's 12, 16, 22.
No, Jeff,
Uh,
those are the bad dice that you can't read. You got to use the Norse Foundry dice that are legible.
That's a 22, and it's also a great success. I got an additional success. I'm just going to say, first of all, this is a piercing blow, so go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll your armor for injury. Target of 16.
27 extraordinary
gosh.
success.
Okay, asshole.
Wow.
And then for the second thing, I will go ahead and put the heavy blow on. So take 11 points of damage. It should have been 11 instead of 8, but I'm not going to go back and change the others. But I am going to change it from now on. So 11 points of damage.
Don't make me weary.
Okay, buddy. And then
Could knock
for
back.
It's fine.
yes, don't. Okay.
Oof.
Okay. Then what it's going to do, its hand's going to kind of go out, and it's going to sort of in the direction of Gilly as like its head whips around at the sight of Gilly kind of messing around with this skull. Gilly, roll a wisdom test as you hear that.
Success.
Yay.
Okay. You still take 2 points of shadow as you feel something come over you. However, you did pass, so you don't fall asleep. So that's good. Okay, new round. Floy, you're up first. Forward stance, I
Yeah.
assume.
Taking 3 pretty heavy blows here. I'm gonna gather whatever strength I have left and just drive my axe down on this specter.
Okay. It is in the kill range.
I'm gonna do it's a fellowship to cancel out my weary.
Okay. So you're tapping into. You say you're tapping into audience dice, or are you tapping into a fellowship point?
A fellowship point, right?
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
balance. Yeah, because balance your
Yeah,
position. Yeah.
I got the one success. It'll be
Regular
7
success.
damage.
It is still up.
The note of sadness with one success.
So close, but it is still functioning as you slash. Aurenial, you're an open stance, I assume, still, so it comes to you.
I am going to be super selfish here.
Story
Do it.
I'm going to take 3 audience dice, which still leaves us with 2.
We gotta outlaw that. We gotta change the way this audience dice stuff works. We gotta really think about how this works. You guys think you're our heroes?
Jeff, you made these rules.
Did I, Stephen?
I assume
Oh,
so.
no.
It's okay.
Seriously.
Describe your kill, as this has 1 endurance left.
Oh.
So go ahead and describe how you
So
take this thing down.
Aurenial, again, Gilly is Aurenial's fellowship focus. And so that last little nonsense of like, this is now kind of like focusing its attention on Gilly, just kind of gets that like, oh, hell no response from Aurenial. And she just like, just takes like a massive swing right at, kind of the midsection here.
Okay. You swing. As you swing through it, you feel the blade just start at first, like you're almost like you're bifurcating. You can feel the resistance. It gets harder and harder, and until it just becomes whoosh, and it just goes through. And you all watch as this figure just sort of fizzles for a moment. And Gilly, over by Hajolin, you watch as slowly his seizing stops. His hand kind of falls against the table, goes limp, and the skull rolls out of it. What do you guys want to do?
We need to leave now.
Can I crush the skull?
Absolutely. No test required. Maybe you pick up a goblet or something that's on the table, or a heavy book, and you just smash it and smash it and smash it until it breaks into a bunch of different pieces and dust. And you all hear a whoa, and all of a sudden, all of the candles and torches and sconces around just begin to flicker, and they just grow a little bit brighter in this room. Like everything just suddenly becomes just a touch brighter. The cloak that's laying on the ground, the flames just kind of kick up higher. Smoke is beginning to kind of cover it up a bit, but you can see that it's just brighter in this room.
I'll run over to Hajolin. See if he's okay.
Don't touch him. He's tainted by the shadow.
I think it's lifted.
I would agree with Gilly. I think whatever has been haunting him,
we can't risk it. Can you not smell it? You can smell the evil. And I spit out. It's so strong you can taste it. We need to leave.
I smell my cloak because you decided to burn my cloak, but I think. But I'll look around.
I did what was necessary. We need to leave. There's nothing he can tell us that would be of value. He is just as evil as the company he keeps.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about these things, but I think can you just stay put?
What would you know of anything? You are a child. I have lived 1,000 years. You have lived 12, 24. You know nothing. We need to leave.
Not without Hajolin.
He's seized. I'm not leaving him here.
He is useless to us. Can you not see? He will just drag us further into the darkness.
I think he will have answers. We came here for answers. We are brave. We can handle things that come our way. We just did, and this will now be better, and we will get our answers.
What answers could he have that we need? Any answer he gives you will be tainted by shadow.
If we had asked him the question 10 minutes ago, perhaps. But I think if we give him time to recover, we should hear him out.
I cannot be a part of this. And I'm going to turn to leave.
And Ireneal's just going to like look over at Floy as just remembering having to deal with this not too long ago with Floy, and just kind of look at Erebon, and she's going to rush toward the door because I think there was like one way in, and so she's basically going to block his exit.
Okay.
Gilly's
Roll
going to
for
call out,
initiative.
no, let him go. This is what he does. He walks away from things that are important. He won't stick around and do what needs to be done. So maybe he should go. And then Gilly's going to focus on Hajolan.
Erebon will stop at the sound of Gilly's voice, and he'll do the half turn. And then he'll turn away, and Ireneal, you'll see there are just tears coming down his face. Let me pass.
No.
You don't walk away from friends, Erebon.
She's right. We are a company now. We do what needs to be done together. Even when it's difficult, we look out for each other. And Ireneal is blocking, like she has made herself tall and folded her arms, and you are not getting out the door.
Walked away from much closer friends than you. And I will turn and just like put my back up against the wall and just slump and just fall to the ground.
Okay.
Oh, you hit Gilly there. She's crying. But she won't look at you.
I'm gonna make sure this cloak is not ablaze. It's setting this place on
Oh,
fire.
sure. Yeah. You put it out. That's fine. It was getting smoky.
Floyd's like, is there any gold in here? Does she have any rings in the pockets?
That's what I said, Chad. I was like, meanwhile, Floyd's going through Jolan's pockets looking for loose change. I didn't want to ruin the moment. Okay, so Gilly, through like your tears, you're kind of tending to Hajolan. You can kind of feel his heart breathing. His heart beating. He's still breathing here and there. His chest is rising, and get a little water, kind of put it on his lips, and he kind of coughs a bit, and eventually, after a few minutes, he kind of comes back to and you notice that his face that had been scrunched up is like kind of loosened a bit. His eye opens up, kind of flickers like it hasn't done so in a while.
Thank you, little hobbit. I don't know what's happened to me of late. Something foul has had hold of me. For the first time in a while, I can breathe again.
It's good to have you back, Lore Master.
He kind of looks down at the skull, and he kind of kicks it with his boot a bit.
Aye, that was not my brother. No. Some cruel shadow played a trick on a poor old man who misses his kin. It is an occupational hazard. We dig into the old tombs of the world looking for knowledge. And sometimes there's things waiting for you. Might we walk a bit? I would very much like to stretch these legs out a bit.
Should we perhaps go up and see your brothers?
In time.
He kind of looks over.
I could see all of you. And a part of me was talking, but there is something else. A darkness on my mind and on my heart. I feel lighter now than I've felt in ages. I would very much like to see the sky again. I've been buried down in these books and scrolls in the dirt of the barrows for far too long. Yes, a good walkabout. Besides, we have much to discuss. I overheard a bit of what your elf friend says, and I would understand if you've got reservations. But I was not lying when I said I've seen that sigil before, Master Floy. You wear on your person a dark piece of mithril crafted by an apprentice of none other than Telkar, one of the greatest smiths in dwarven history, and I would very much like to examine it further.
Of course, we've got some time, but I'll help him up.
Thank you.
Ugh. And you could hear like this loud crack as he kind of stands up straight for the first time. His bones just becoming sort of lithe again. You can see his face kind of recoloring. And as like he walks past like Erebon, who's like slumped on the ground.
You're welcome to stay, Master Elf. But if you care to travel, I'm going to take your friends to the Dragon Tower further up into the mountains and show them a treasure. If you're interested in accompanying us later, just ask one of the guards and they can point you in the direction.
Erebon will not make eye contact. He's just looking down sullenly. But as the group begins to leave, he'll slowly get up and follow behind.
Okay. And we sort of like montage this like walk out. He's kind of leading you, kind of navigating this like circuitous tunnels back through the halls that you've seen before, greeting some of his brothers and some of the guards along the way, eventually kind of leading out the golden doors that led into this hall out into like the sun. And you can see he just like lifts his face to it, and he kind of moves around that pond. If you recall, there was that central pond and this kind of basin within which the halls have kind of been set.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of leads you beyond the pond, and he kind of reaches down, kind of pats him on his face. And all the while he's kind of like telling you kind of a story, kind of weaving in his own adventures, like what he's done and, you know, what he's learned. And he's just like, I've traveled the ruins of many dwarven settlements. I've dug into the tombs of kin, both those I know and those I don't. I'm afraid dwarves, as you've seen, are not immune to the pull of shadow. And I'm sorry to say that there are some descendants of our kind, Master Floy, as far back as the Elder Days, who allied themselves with the dark powers of the world. Those were the days when the smiths of Gamul and Teljar would keep the forges lit. They would teach their craft to many a dwarf who come far and wide. Rune carving, inscription, a means of making the metal lighter, but somehow sturdier at the same time. Could cast away blades, arrows, and even those weapons imbued with the sorcery of shadow. But sadly, some of these apprentices
fell to shadow. And now it's the enemy who has this gift. Well, at least some pale version of what the masters of our kind were able to discover.
And as you guys are walking, you're like winding up this mountain path, and you see up ahead, like emerging in the distance, like you can see it a ways away. But as you get a little closer, you see a tower. Kind of like on top of this rock. It wasn't immediately seen just from the slopes themselves, but it's built quite large, and you can see that there's these different battlements and things up top. It's being manned by several people, and he sees you all kind of staring at it, and he's like,
After the events at Erebor, we were concerned. Many of us were that the dragons may have returned, and Smug might not be the only one. Perhaps it's an overabundance of caution. But my brother decided that we would construct our own dragon tower. Not that our vaults and reservoirs are filled with treasure that would interest even the most modest of dragons. But we do have one treasure, one that we hold dearest above all.
And at this point, he kind of starts leading you up this tower. And when you get to the very top, you can see almost like encased into this beautiful display, this like ornate, not glass casing, but you can definitely tell there's been stone pedestal with all these runes and script around it, and on top of it, kind of almost slipped into with the blade kind of slipped into the stone, almost stuff like was a scabbard. You see a blade, and you can tell immediately, Floy, and those of you who have taken the time to examine Floyd's armor, that some of the types of runes that you see along kind of the collar line are also appearing along like the hilt and the pommel. Different though. And even though yours has like this purple amethyst kind of at the collar, right where the nape of the neck is, there's a sort of different jewels that are adorning this.
This, my new friends, is the last remaining artifact of the great Smith Telchard that our clan lays claim to. And where better to keep it than in a tower meant to protect us from an ancient enemy? I've brought you here partly because I wanted to see this again in my own eyes, not shaded through that creature that had hold of me. But I also wanted to show you the heights of dwarven craft. What you wear, Floy, is certainly a treasure to behold, but it pales in comparison even to this.
And all of you, as you're looking, you can tell, like, it's like what Floyd, what you wear, it's light, it's powerful, it's strong, but it also, like, there's an elegance to like this weapon that you see in front of you. Like, you can just, without even reaching and grabbing, you can tell Floyd, like, and you or Neil, those of you that use like kind of melee weapons, like, there's just something about this, like the way the pommel is.
There was a time when we made, so many things. Most of them have fallen to history. My kind, we live for a fair number of years, not as many as our elvish friend here, of course. But sadly, not all of us have a mind to preserve history. From the Dragon Helm of Dor Lomin, to the famed Noglamir. We have crafted throughout history the most powerful of objects that have fallen to shadow, that have sunken beneath the waves with the breaking of the world. But fortunately, some like this still stand. You see, the reason you are having such trouble of late, Floy, is that you wear not the craft of Telchar or Camil Zorak, or any of their apprentices that have followed their rune-carving ways. No. You wear the craft of one of the apprentices who broke his oath, who betrayed friends, kin, and elf as well. The specific details of which are perhaps somewhat difficult to uncover, and I know not all of those details, but it is my trade to know that which others do not. But suffice to say, the dreams that you have been having, and others who are in your company, they are not of the future, they are not of the present, but they are likely of a deep past, when dwarf and elf went axe to arrow in the place that has long been broken and sunken beneath the water. The elder days, a source of great betrayal and violence. The Battle of Sarnathrat, the Battle of the Thousand Caves. A ford along an ancient river, gone now after the breaking. In its place, the Gulf of Loon shines in the morning light. Dwarves of Nogrod, elves of Osirian during the elder days. Some who crafted these items and intended them as gifts for the very elves they called friends. They did not want to give them up, or they wanted them back in return. And from that desire came treachery, betrayal, and blood. And it is this betrayal that has found its way into the very armor you wear. Cursed it is, and that who wears it. I am no sorcerer, my new friends. But if you wish to cleanse it, I believe you must return it to the source of that treachery.
I've done this mithril for a while now. And you're quite wise to history. Where we found it is a ways east.
Kind of nods his head. Where you found it is not where it came from. Or at least that who crafted it. No, you must travel westward, my friend. Although the Asgard, the Golden Bend, an ancient, beautiful river that, well, as I said, it is not here. But the Gulf is. And there are settlements of elves to the west that might aid you in finding a more accurate place. But if I were to wager finding a pool of water near where that great river once wound, and sink that beneath it. When you pull the armor back out, no longer will your dreams plague you, and you will see the full brilliance of Mithril, and not the darkened shadow that you now wear. But I am just an old dwarf, and I could be wrong. As much as it pains me. It
You're
is
the best
his
lead we
kind.
have.
Yeah, I thank you of that. But as much as it might pain me to admit this, it is his kind.
Kind of nods towards Erebon.
Some of whom still live there. If you travel west, seek out the settlement of Forland. A river empties into the gulf. If you are true-hearted and kind, and you explain to them that which I have explained to you, perhaps they can direct you further.
I do fear a bit, says they'll see the doom that is in summer.
Their kind does not sleep the way that we do, nor do they dream as we. But maybe, even still.
And he kind of a wry grin towards Erebon.
There is kindness among their kind, and there is reason and logic. If you are earnest, and if you tell them true, they will help you. I'm sure of it.
Erebon's been staying at the edge of the group, and he's just looking into the distance, not acknowledging anything.
Well, there's only one way to find out if it works, and that is to go and do it. And I think this is a reasonable cause.
As Floy has shown here again today, we need his axe. We need him to be able to get up in the fights that we have ahead of us, and that armor has saved him, I'm sure. And if we can find a way to cleanse this shadow from it, it will be all the more helpful. And Irenial will kind of circle around to where Erebon has been facing away. I assume, though you provide no acknowledgement, that you have heard every word spoken here. What are your interests in traveling to Forland with our company?
I may have been rash earlier, but I am not welcome in London.
Would we be in London? This is an Ashley question.
So yeah, I mean, look at
Northern
the map.
London.
Yeah, so if you look at the map, so Linden essentially extends pretty much all along the west coast of Eriador, right? So there's like different chunks of it. I'll bring us back over to the map, so you can see it, so the audience can see it. So he is suggesting you head out towards Forlon, where I just pinged. So again, this is Jeff sort of explaining it to you, but you guys as players would know we're in the third age, but there have been ages that come before it. There was the breaking of the world, Balerian, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to get into the full thing. But essentially, like a huge chunk of land that was west of Linden, it broke, kind of sunk beneath the waves, etc. And the last kind of bits of the the Blue Mountains, and the sort of the land just to the west of it, that's like the last bits that are sort of remaining. And so was sort of mentioned was like there was specifically a battle on like a ford of a river, and they went by a couple different names. I think I put the names down. I think he mentioned the names. Yeah, he called it the Askar or the Golden Bed. But where that river basically wound doesn't exist, and in its place is now the Gulf of Loon. And you can see this sort of large kind of gulf here. And you can see right at this, like where this river, which I don't know if it has a name or not, I'm not sure. But this isn't the one that kind of travels north of Forlond. That's not the one he's referring to. But there is a settlement there called Forlond. And so his suggestion is to go there, and they might give you more direction on how you might find the waters of a river that has long been sunken beneath a gulf. So
I do not know if I can go back and face them.
When you say you are not welcome, is this you will be met with some scorn if you appear? Or when you say you're not welcome, does this mean you will be met with weapons?
It is complicated. It has been 1,000 years since I've been in the land of my people. I do not know how they would respond, but I know how I would respond, and it would not be welcoming.
Why did you leave?
That is a story for when we are not with company.
I won't pry any further, but you won't be alone when you return. You'll be in good company.
Erebon will kind of look towards Gilly. I cannot return to Linden, but I also cannot abandon an ally again. And I'll turn to Floy. If this is what you need, I
And
will travel
Gilly
with
will
you.
start crying, and she will run and she'll hug you.
He does the awkward, like, stiffening up.
Yeah, yeah.
You only get to his knee anyways, but still.
Probably like waist level. Her face is buried in your hip. And she's just, I'm sorry. I knew that would hurt you and I said it in anger, and I'm sorry.
I awkwardly pat her head.
all right. So this has all been taking some time. So we'll say at this point we see the setting sun to the west. We see the sun coming down from atop this dragon tower. And like some shadows kind of begin to, long shadows from some of the peaks begin to stretch over the land. Birds, like these large mountain birds sweep past, and you hear like a sigh kind of come out of him.
I know they are terrible things, but I would much want to see a dragon one day. I should probably be careful what I wish for. Oh well, let us retire back to the halls of my family. My brother is ever the host I am sure he is scrounging for the best of everything to feast. And for the first time in a while, I think I'll join the family table.
And so you guys start to descend. You kind of work your way back past the pond as the sun goes down into the halls of Harmelt once more.
My fingers itch a little as we leave the tower.
Okay. Okay. So I think what we'll say is adventuring phase done there. And why don't we do a short fellowship phase at the end, and then sort of, I assume with all of the shadow and wounds and stuff that's been taken, there's some discussion.
I don't have
likely-
any shadow. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's all gone.
There's discussion on where to go next and all that kind of stuff. So we can end, I think, rather than save it to the next time, as we are going to be gone next week. So why don't we do a fellowship phase here, so that when we come back the week after Gen Con and whatever, we can start back up, fresh adventuring phase. Do you have an idea? Like, you have two very clear paths ahead of you. Like, you can head west of Forland. Oh, that's too dark of music and ominous. Let's do nicer music. So you can head west of Forland to try to continue to help with whatever's befallen Floy in this armor, following the path laid out to you for Hajolan, or you could head to the northern bits of the Blue Mountains to follow that lead about the old king of men and that was sort of fled from Angmar. Or you could do something else. You have other leads. You have the Rangers, the Ranger settlement far to the east. Which way are we leaning?
Still have hill folk to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, if we don't want to go west, guys.
You still have a general understanding. You still have a general idea of where Lottie's, stronghold is,
There we
which
go.
is like on the border of Redour and Angmar, far to the northeast. So there's lots of different ways you can take it. So I do not script out where you guys go. I just throw out options for you, and then you guys make the choices. So
Aurenial definitely thinks that cleansing the armor should be our top priority.
okay.
Yeah, this guy's a loony. It doesn't make any sense. We're out of here.
How dare you? Put your dukes up. I'm gonna fight you. Old man strength.
Yeah, after seeing Hajolan kind of like possessed by that dark item, Gilead's definitely concerned for Floy has ramped up. And also forcing Erebon to confront his past is up there.
Gilly's
Y'all
not
are
a
gonna get
meddler
me-
or anything.
Get
Not
me
at all.
executed as soon as we show up at the city.
Well, you
So
haven't told us yet.
is it fair to say we're hanging out here for a couple days or weeks or something like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
until
Yeah.
you're ready to depart?
Yes, for sure.
okay. Whoops, that's the wrong button. Sorry,
Rennial's
I'm
got a
all over
lot
the
of
place right
travel fatigue to get rid of, to clear out.
I know, so much sleeping ahead of me.
now. Okay. So let's go ahead and walk through the fellowship phase. If you guys don't have your full knowledge of your skills and stuff, that's okay. You can wait until next time. But why don't we go through the phase, the steps again? Set duration, we'll say 2 weeks. Choose destination. Do you want to stay here? We could go back to Gladrock as well. That's an option. It's close enough. If you wanted to go back to Floy's home, so you can have
Leave
it here
that
in
up to
Harmel.
Floy if he wants to go back home or not.
Yeah, I'll take it back. Why not?
Okay.
They were friendlier.
Okay, so you spend a couple nights here, and then you eventually head back up to Gladrock. You depart with friends, but you depart with some new knowledge, and Hajolan wishes you to come back. And you can also tell that he's looking younger and younger by the day. Like, his hair is he's combing it again. He's trimmed his beard, and his color is coming back. And for those of you, it's definitely sort of like a King Théod thing. Anyway, sort of
Aurenial
thing
would
happening.
somewhat tactlessly make some sort of comment to Majolan.
Okay, the lord of
The brother.
the hall. Yeah,
Yes.
he's the head of the place.
And
Yeah.
the head of the place, which will make the tactless comment unwise.
Oh no.
Your brother appears to be looking so much better than he had been. Was his descent not as rapid as his recovery?
I don't remember the voice I used for Majoland. What you don't remember is that Majolan lives on his own time. He comes and goes from the halls disappears for weeks and months, and sometimes it is a season again before we see him once more. So it is hard to judge his debilitation, his descent, when we only see him for a short time, and even when he's here, he buried himself in his scrolls and books. And you can see like Hajolan's like, now, brother, I promise I will be a bit more attentive to the needs of the family. But I do have a lead or two that might, help with some of the family funds now that I am free of the clouded judgment. Places we might go and plunder and find new treasures to fill the vault. And so at that, like you can see some of the other brothers get really excited about that as well.
Aurenial will kind of toss a look over to Gilly, and the group generally, but also to Gilly, and say it is a comfort to know that we travel with each other and would know if one of us were descending as such.
That's why we're going as far as we are for Floyd.
This is true. It is important.
It's hard to see it yourself, but those who love you will see.
And Iridia will also kind of throw a side eye to Erebon. Make sure he's not heading for the door again.
Just admiring this guild work. Yeah, it's very nice.
Very nice, very nice.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I can tell you a story about where this came from. And he just reveals.
All right, so let's do our fellowship phase. We got our duration, we got our destination. Let's do our updates. So I think we're saying 7 points skill and adventure to spend. Spend it however you like. Again, does anyone know exactly what they want to do? And they can kind of tell us what it looks like now. Or if you don't know and you want to think on it some more, we can come back to this after our break next week.
Not sure.
Okay, so we'll
I'm
come back
not
for a
quite
renewal.
ready.
Same with Erebon.
Gilly would be working on her explore. That's all I really have enough for is to get my explore to 2.
Yeah, and so maybe we'll say on your journey back, maybe even some of the the folks from Harmelt kind of help you along the way as the story of these bandits and such, these dwarf and oathbreakers around here. They stole Balin's wagon. Balin's coming back as well. He ended up calling off his journey down to Mithlin as he's coming back. He's got to sort of venture back and retrace his steps, figure some things out. And maybe you guys are taking a longer route back, looking a bit more, going up some of the peaks, seeing some beautiful sights as it's the end of spring, start of summer. So you're seeing like the beautiful colors of the trees below, like off to the west, like if you get up to the high enough of the peaks. And so likely that's where maybe some of the exploration stems from. Did Floy have an idea of what he was investing any of his points in?
We got 7 points, you said?
Yeah, 7 skill, 7 adventure.
I don't think I have enough for anything.
Okay.
I think so.
I
think Aurenial, because we are somewhere that is, we have access to sort of the leaders and whatnot. I think I want to do a bit of observation to work on my courtesy.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting at no courtesy. So
I was going to bump up my social skills too.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Do you guys want to have like a courtesy T class with Gilly?
The
I was
council
gonna
was
say
so rough last time that I'm worried about it.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
exactly.
maybe to involve like you guys are at like two different dwarf halls, one of Harmelt, one of Gladrock, at various ends of sort of the spectrum in terms of like economic influence in the area, and you know you're sitting to dinner with them and breakfast, and it's not just Floyd's family like in his mother's kitchen, but you're actually sitting with some of the lords and things of these halls. Gilly's like walking you through like the traditional greetings that she's heard about. Maybe she picked Hajolin's brain here or there, or she just read some books, but you're practicing out some of your conversation tactics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there, can anyone think of a silly conversation tactic that Iriniel or Erebon might try to employ with a random group of dwarves?
I was going to do song, not courtesy, and I had an
Okay.
idea for that. If we would,
Yeah.
don't mind waiting.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
No, you go first, Aurelial. Let's do
All right,
yours.
Aurelial.
Yeah, what's
You
your
mentioned it.
conversation tactic?
Like I don't know that I've necessarily RP'd this, but I'm thinking like just the necessity of silly compliments isn't necessarily something that like Aurelial like wastes a ton of time on. And so just sort of that like need to sort of,
Basically small talk.
Okay.
small talk and just like, being especially complimentary to folks in positions of power, like that whole like thing that is just not.
I picture Iriniel doing like the Riker move and like sweeping her leg over a chair, sitting down at a table of dwarves, and be like, "It's about that weather we're having, huh? Real nice." Something like that. Like really basic conversation starters.
And then coming up of that is a very lovely axe you have.
Yeah.
It seems quite sharp.
Your beard is very thick and brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And you seem to be able to store a lot of old meals in it. That seems very useful. Okay.
Yeah.
And Gilly's like, no.
No, back up.
They're like, well, I guess that's true. Yeah. Mutton. We haven't had mutton in 3 weeks.
Erebon, you have it? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I imagine this would be happening as we spend the night traveling between the dwarven halls.
Of course.
We'd all be sitting around the campfire, and Erebon would just begin singing a soft song because that's his social skill.
Mhm.
And the song would start off very happy tune of a young elf, and it speaks of growing up and childhood and the lack of care that a child has without understanding the realities of the world. And it slowly morphs into a very somber song. In the middle, it talks about how there is a call to war and a shadow begins to grow over the land, and not just over the land, but also over the child's heart. And the child is slowly becoming an adult and understanding that there's more to the world, more outside the world. And as this child begins to march to war, he begins to realize that this could be the end, that all things that he's at his beginning and all things have an end, and he could be marching to his. And that shadow, that cloud grows, and it becomes a very, very sad tune at this point. And it speaks of the child preparing for battle the next day, and he escaped night, leaving the army the night before. And that is where the song ends, with the idea that he was no longer a child, he is now a man, and he just carries this cloud wherever he goes.
So after you sing and like people are, dutifully.
I'm really just bumming everyone out. Floyd was
Yeah.
trying to have a good beer.
Yeah. But you do hear like in the distance, like in the dark, somewhere on the slopes, this very like kind of distant, echoey clap. And like
Snag
people
it.
kind of look around, and then in the morning, as you're kind of waking up and everyone's packing their things, you roll over onto your side or something, or wherever it is that Erebon does when he meditates, and you feel something kind of poking at you. And you look down and you see right next to where you had laid out your things for camp, there's a small little toy from Dale amongst your things.
Someone left this trash here. Does anyone want it?
He just throws it down the mountain. Don't worry. I try so hard.
I'm sorry.
That's all good. All right. Anybody else think of something that they wanted to do for growth or training? And again, we can revisit it next time if you can't.
It's not like anything that I can actually get like a skill in, but like I was hoping Gilly could maybe spend some time learning Dwarvish, like getting started, like bare bones basics, if they'd allow.
They know you.
Okay.
I think that you helped Jolin, and you specifically came and helped him. I think you have found a friend in Hajolin, and he will. Maybe he gifts you over a tome of dwarven history of some kind, of maybe his specific family history, and he journeys with you for a while. Maybe not the whole distance back, but maybe for a couple of days, and kind of goes through and tries to teach you, what some of these symbols mean and things like that. So we'll say that you have a cursory understanding, like a dwarvish 101 in terms of like kind of reading some of the runes and scripts and things like that, but not necessarily any level of fluency. Yeah. Okay. I think that's fair.
Thank you.
Okay. So if that's the case, if everyone's good on growth and training, let's do some spiritual recovery. You get a number of hope back equal to your heart score. If the adventuring phase was a positive outcome to the fight against the encroaching shadow, you also get to remove some shadow points. I'm going to say you can remove one. This was positive, but it wasn't like you defeated some... Well, you freed up a lore master. I'm going to say one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this wasn't like defeating Rotag or something like that. This was a good positive thing, but not necessarily the greatest. Like you freed up an ally, a knowledgeable dwarven ally. Like understand that the lore that he was spouting off to you is stuff that's like ancient history. That's like ancient, like that's like someone being an expert on like ancient Egyptian lore from thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. We're not talking about anything recent. And so he's referring to it with kind of a clarity that, Oswald Breaker's tomes don't have. Gilly, it's beyond you, and Floy and your people, and your family probably don't have that kind of, like, he's specifically interested in like the kind of the craftsman history, the rune carving things. So undertakings. So what are y'all thinking of doing? Remember, you get the one for free, like the one that's one of your specific tactics, like one of your things, or
we were talking about either gathering rumors or poring over maps, right?
Or strength and fellowship. Those were the three that I was bouncing around.
So the thing with the rumors one is rumors would... I mean, you could take rumors if you want, but I feel like, you've got a lot of them that you're sitting on.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we could. I mean, I definitely think if we're traveling west, we should be pondering storied and figured maps if we can.
Cool. I agree.
Or write a song would be good too, because we only have a combat song, I believe.
Which we keep forgetting about when we have combat, like we just did.
I just sang you a song, Gilly. We can use that as we're marching. It'll keep the pace up.
We're all gonna be just like heads down, like just
Trudging.
slow trudging by the end
Black
of that
hole,
song.
sun.
All right, so we're going to do pondered stories and figured maps. You can get that from Gilly for free.
Yep.
Since it's a scholar thing. And do you want to do the song? Is that the other one?
Yeah, Floyd, what do you think?
Yeah, the maps is okay.
Yeah,
What do you
That'll
want to do for
help
the
with-
other one?
journeying and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can our patron help us at all? Do we need help?
I mean, he's here. Yeah. I'm trying to remember exactly. We haven't done that one for a while.
No, and we kind of got that one for free and during the adventuring phase because we got to chat with him.
Let me pull that one up because I don't think we've actually done that one, have we?
12.
Yeah.
We
let me
haven't
pull
done
up.
it, no.
Mm-mm.
Let's see. Pulling this up.
Usually revolves around players asking for help, possibly accepting a task in return.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you guys can think of something that he could help with, I'm game. Obviously. It's up to you.
I think we sort of did that when we talked to him last. Like he was going down
Yeah, I
to the
agree.
Elven settlement.
Game with you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
We spent a couple weeks with him at this point.
All right, so then what do you want your second one to be other than the maps one?
So, strength and fellowship or write a song? Which one
Yeah.
of those two things?
The
Someone
second
needs
one has to be
pick.
based on our class, right?
Well, if you take the free one, because you can take the maps one from Gilly. Gilly's a scholar.
that
You
can
get
be
that
free.
one
Yeah.
for
Okay,
free.
so we
So
can do it.
basically, any of the others you're open to.
I would say strength and fellowship, but if you guys want to write a song, you can.
I'm good with fellowship.
Okay,
Sounds
you get
good.
a +1 to your fellowship, so one more extra point.
So, how do
All
we
right.
bond while we're doing this back and forth in the mountains?
Yeah.
What's our bonding activity?
Erebon can keep singing for you.
Floyd,
You can bond
any
over how bad
ideas?
it is.
Yeah, I'm
supposed to-
showing you around to the springs or the baths we have here. Get a nice cleanup.
No. This is how you braid a beard.
Spas of Middle Earth.
That's true. I think we established this before, right? That there's because Floyd
Yeah.
loves his cleaning up. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a Gladrock thing. You have these maybe deep in the
Like hot
cave somewhere.
springs.
They're hot springs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love this. This is hideous, but yeah. Okay. I'm just picturing Floyd. Ugh.
We just all have like a hot
Crazy.
spring day. Floyd's like showing us how to braid our hair properly.
Mhm.
He's like,
All your
"Right."
family comes too, they're just showing up. Yeah.
This is
Okay.
good.
Getting a little too anime having a Hot Springs episode.
Yeah. We could have had.
Well,
like,
I mean,
each
it's Long's
special-
decision here. That's why he's the anime king over here. Okay, I admit that tracks. Okay, so what we'll say is to end the sesh after your hot springs episode. You all retreat to your rooms. Wherever it is that Floyd's family has kind of set you guys up for sleeping and whatnot. And we zoom in for a second, on the room of Floyd as he's done, he's taking the armor off, it's sort of draped over the chairs, things are packed up. We saw all his favorite band posters from 30 years ago. And we see him kind of tossing and turning a bit. We zoom in like very, very carefully, like on this this nightstand kind of next to him where this candle is kind of burning down. And we see like this sort of shadow just kind of move across the room ever so slightly, kind of dancing a bit. It could be the flickering candlelight. It could be something else. Who knows? But then, just like in the library, we see the flame just begin to sort of dim. It becomes smaller and smaller. And we see again Floyd kind of tossing and turning. And we see kind of over his face is like, as we zoom in, we hear like this familiar sound of this sort of whisper, like washing through the room. And we watch as his face just sort of starts to twitch on one side and begin to crinkle up a bit. and we will end there. And on that session, for this session,
Oh, Floy.
No.
we will be
Good
back
session.
in 2 weeks, as everybody but Ashley is gone next week.
Yeah.
So Ashley's in charge, but the rest of us are gone. I think
That's a
I think
mistake.
Long and Steven are both going to different conferences. Melissa and I are going to see some family stuff. And Ashley is she's hanging out, getting high. I think something like that. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't.
Totally
Ashley.
Good habit.
You know, Ashley. Yeah. Yeah. It's exactly. Okay. Other
Here for
things.
good eats.
You can catch Steven and I in about an hour and 45 minutes over on Grim and Perilous Plays, as we're going to be playing some more Heart. You can catch both of us again tomorrow night over on Steam Still Murder, playing some Shadowrun. And on Monday, you can come back here. We'll be playing Holler for Savage Worlds. Melissa and I will be in that game. And that'll be our last stream for probably all of next week, as, again, we're all out of town. So we'll probably be back. We'll be back in 2 weeks for more Wondering. In the meantime, catch up on stuff. If you're, we got other games that we have over on our YouTube channel for Adventures in Lollygagging. Go buy some dice from our friends at Norse Foundry. We got a promo code kicking around. If you're a fan of ours, you can punch in Lolly, LOLLY over at their site and get 10% off. And you definitely need to take advantage of that. As Eric was very kind to bring us on board, so it's very cool. That's it. Why don't we raid some folks and we'll get out of here, and the rest of you can have a good weekend. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anybody that we know that is up. So I search and search and search. Let's do a little Lost Caravan RPG, maybe. We do a little of that. So follow us. We're playing some Dungeons and Dragons, and we'll see y'all later. So bye-bye.
See you.